So NASA has this huge new ambition to launch missions to the moon on a regular, almost routine basis. But there's a pretty big problem standing in the way. And believe it or not, it's the very rocket that was designed to get them there. Okay, let's dive into this.
The goal for the Artemis program is, well, a blistering pace. We're talking a new launch to the moon about every 10 months. More launches means more momentum, faster progress. It all sounds amazing, right? But it also raises a massive question.
Can NASA's main rocket, the Space Launch System, actually support that kind of launch rate? I mean, when you look at the numbers, it starts to look like a really serious challenge. And this, right here, is the central problem we're going to unpack.
All right, so let's break down exactly why NASA's main ride to the moon is creating this major bottleneck for its own ambitions.
The problem really comes down to three big things. A trifecta of constraints. And honestly, each one is a major hurdle on its own. We're talking build time, engine supply, and just the staggering cost.
First up, the build time. Right now, it takes contractors roughly 2 full years to build a single SLS rocket stack. You know, there isn't some high-speed production line for these things. That fact alone naturally caps the launch rate at about 1 every other year, and that's being optimistic.
And then you've got the whole engine situation. See, when the Space Shuttle program ended, there were only 16 of its super powerful RS-25D engines left over. That's just enough to cover the first 4 Artemis missions. And after that, the supply? Well, it just runs out.
And this is the real kicker, the cost. Each and every SLS launch is estimated to cost more than $2 billion. At that price, a rapid launch schedule just isn't financially realistic, especially when you think about budgets getting tighter.
So these pretty serious limitations are forcing NASA to consider what could be a really revolutionary idea. With the SLS acting as this huge bottleneck, the question becomes, what if we could find a different ride for the astronauts?
And this is the key question, right? The Orion spacecraft, that's the capsule that's going to carry the astronauts. What if it could break free from the SLS? What if it could launch on a cheaper, more available commercial rocket instead?
You know, this isn't some brand new concept they just dreamed up. The idea's actually been floating around for years. In fact, Orion's very first test flight way back in 2014 was on a commercial Delta IV Heavy. And by 2019, NASA was seriously studying the idea of using a Falcon Heavy.
Yeah, this whole line of thinking actually has a name inside NASA, Project Athena. It's the strategic concept that explores the very real possibility of using different commercial launchers for Orion, basically turning it from a backup plan into a potential long-term strategy. Okay, so if Orion isn't flying on SLS, what are the options? Let's meet the main commercial rockets that could potentially step up to the plate and give the Orion capsule a lift to orbit.
And here's where things get really, really interesting. The numbers just tell the story. I mean, sure, SLS is an absolute powerhouse, but that cost difference, it's just staggering. Over $2 billion for one SLS launch versus just under $100 million for a Falcon Heavy. That's not just a small difference, that's a game-changing difference in economics.
First up, we've got Blue Origin's New Glenn. And on paper, it's a pretty good fit. Its big 7-meter fairing is physically large enough to hold Orion. Its performance right now is a little tight, but Blue Origin is already planning upgrades and more powerful engines that would give it that comfortable performance margin NASA always wants to see.
Then, of course, you have the SpaceX options. Falcon Heavy has already been studied for this job, but it's complicated. It would need some complex in-orbit docking with another stage, not to mention massive changes to the launch pad. And then there's Starship. It's definitely powerful enough, but integrating it and getting it fully human-rated, well, those are entirely different mountains to climb.
So here's the crucial point, and it's really important to get this. You can't just take Orion off one rocket and, stick it on another one. This is far, far from a simple swap. There are enormous technical and safety hurdles to overcome.
The single biggest challenge is the Emergency Detection System, or EDS. You can think of this as the brain of astronaut safety. It's this incredibly complex flight software that is constantly monitoring the rocket, and if something goes wrong, it can automatically trigger the escape system in milliseconds to save the crew. To make this work on a totally new rocket, the entire system has to be human-rated from the ground up. And that means completely rewriting and recertifying all that critical EDS software for a new rocket's unique flight characteristics, integrating all new hardware, and physically rebuilding stuff on the ground, like the crew access arm at the launch pad. It's a huge job.
Here's a good way to think about it.
Modifying the launch pad is an expensive and really tough engineering problem, but it's a known engineering problem. We know how to do it. But rewriting and certifying the abort logic, that is a much more complex software engineering task. It's basically the equivalent of a brain transplant for the entire safety system.
So where does all of this leave us? Well, NASA is at a true crossroads. They're facing a fundamental decision about the entire future of their lunar exploration program.
You know, an insight from Lockheed Martin, the company that actually builds the Orion capsule, it just puts it perfectly. The ultimate goal here is to make our return to the moon more sustainable. And that one word, sustainable, that's everything.
And that really frames the core dilemma, doesn't it? The choice is between sticking with the proven but incredibly expensive path with SLS or embracing a new commercial future that promises lower costs and more frequent flights, but comes with immense technical complexity and a whole lot of hard work.
So, as we look to build a lasting human presence beyond Earth, the question isn't just about how we get to the moon once or twice, it's about how we do it sustainably for decades to come. Which path do you think makes the most sense for the future?